Councilor Chambers aren't here. I haven't heard from either that they're not coming though. Oh, sorry, she is here. Okay.
Council Gatward is here,
Yep.
so we only have one member absent. Thank you. Welcome, and welcome to our guests who are here, some who are speaking. We have an agenda. There has been an amendment, which is now de-amended because the change is to add a delegation who has now withdrawn because he now understands that he was incorrect in understanding what he didn't understand. Is that clear?
Absolutely. That's what I figured.
I understand.
Somewhat. I was surprised I got away with that one. Thank you. He's not attending is the point and has withdrawn. So we do not have an amended agenda. Does any member of council have an item that they wish to add to the agenda? Anyone? None? The agenda then is available for approval for use. Councillor Coleman moves, Councillor Gatward seconds that this be our agenda, be approved. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Before beginning the agenda, I would like to report that this afternoon, I guess it was at 11 o'clock, I attended the rededication of the Bell Memorial Situation Park and what is it? Item in the park. It was arranged by the City of Brantford, the Bell Homestead National Historic Site, which includes a monument, and it's rededicated because it was dedicated by Mr. Bell himself in 1917. So it's the 100th anniversary of that today. In addition, the Paris Legion, Branch 29, has celebrated its 90th anniversary on the weekend with a good attendance, very active. In addition to that, on Saturday, last Saturday, we had experienced an event, arranged an event, and had the official opening of the Scotland Community Centre. Very successful event, very pleased, and we have partners, as you know, the Scotland Optimus and the For Mums Day Nursery. Audience, citizens, all very happy, and a number of councillors were there, and sorry, I was going to say Councillor Balma was called away, but that was at the Paris Legion. He attended and had to leave to attend. I understand it was a fire, I believe, at the propane plant in St. George.
Potential gas.
Is that what it is? Gas leak? So sorry about that, but that's what happens when you're both on council and a firefighter. So thank you. With that, declaration of pecuniary interest by any member of council at this time? None. Delegations, Drew Baird, the chair has not arrived, but the other speaker that's here, Lyle Marchuska, project lead, County of Brant Accessibility Advisory Committee, presentation of, quote, ramp up in Brant program, end quote, and he'll tell you what that's about very shortly. Welcome, Lyle. Lyle is a member of the Heritage Advisory Committee of County Council. Welcome.
Nice
Please
to be here.
proceed
Thank
when
you.
you're ready.
Okay. Hello, my name is Lyle Marchuka, and I'm a member of the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the County of Brant. We are introducing a program here at Brant County. We've worked on it for on and off for about a year to get this far, and we're finally here. We are introducing something called, they're portable ramps, and they were initially, they're the brainchild of a group called stopgap.ca, and they're basically putting in portable ramps for at various merchant locations to get over that one Herculean step that people like I have to get into a shop to go and buy something. I can never do it when there's one step is like Mount Everest for us. So this ramp project has been put together, and we earlier got approval from the BIA to proceed. One of the merchants there volunteered to be the first one, and he was a Swiss in Paris. And so we proceeded with all the specifications, and we built a custom ramp for him. And so I just wanted to show everybody what that ramp looks like, and that is it. It's sort of on its side here, but it fits perfectly in front of his shop, and he is dying to have it in place as soon as we get all of the affairs in order, and that's very soon. That was the toughest part. The rest is not so hard. And so I just wanted to show you what the ramp looks like, and it's made of wood, and it's got top is fir actually. It's a non-slip surface, and it's safe for people like myself, or in a wheelchair or strollers, whatever, to go in and get in there. So the key to it is that we want to basically launch this here at Brant County, so that once he gets that in place, hopefully it becomes infectious, and other merchants will proceed with asking for a ramp as well. And we're looking forward to that, to help make Brant County more accessible to the extent that we can. And a temporary ramp is a perfect solution in this circumstance. So just wanted to show you that ramp, and hopefully more to come. So
as you know, in looking at stores, offices, facilities, etc., many are extremely difficult and impossible for some disabled to enter. Very, very difficult. This helps the situation somewhat, and Lyle, thank you very much for taking this on as a mission in life to see that something is improved. As you know, there's accessibility laws and rules and requirements. However, they don't come into force, I don't believe, until 2025. This is 2017. So it means many people who cannot go access properties now will be joined by a great many others who cannot, and it makes it very difficult. So this is a measure to improve. And Sheena Yerrick, our assistant to the committee, thank you for your help in this regard. It's very good. And I thought council should know the push to accomplish this, because I think it's extremely important. Councillor Cardy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Lyle for quite a while, and he was very instrumental as well in our making it easy and safe to use the ramps and things at the old Anglican church in town, which is about 180 years old, and it took a lot of effort on Lyle's part to help us get that done, but we got it done, and you did a great job there as well. He seems to be a very good leader pushing this forward, and we need people like that to do that. Thank you, Lyle.
Now, the alternative, of course, to this is to get permanent access, and maybe some will get the idea or the hint to do it. Councillor Simons.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one brief ask, if I may. Thank you, Lyle, for bringing this forward. Thank you, Sheena, for working on this to come bring it, coordinate it, to make it work. Is it possible to bring this to the BIA next meeting to show the folks what it is? Or have they seen it?
When we did present to the BIA the first time, Lyle did bring that sample ramp from Stratford to show them what it looked like.
Yeah, I had a sample that wasn't ours, but
Well, I just wondered if they saw this this is what's going to be there?
this is it, yeah.
That this is it, okay.
We can certainly arrange.
Could you do that, just so that they, again, will get the feel of it, and
When is the next meeting?
the second Tuesday of next month, November?
Okay.
Okay.
That
And I'll
should
make
be
sure
good.
that you're included on the agenda if that's
Sure.
possible. Okay, thank you very
Okay,
much.
great.
Councillor Chambers, your seat is occupied only temporarily. Councillor Pierce?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, thank you for that presentation. A couple quick questions. You said this was made specifically for that location. So if another merchant wanted to have it and got measured up in that, how long does it take to make it?
The ramp is quite simple to make. We have specifications from the stopgap.ca organization. They've built these ramps for a while. They've got it down to a real science, and all we have to do is measure how big the step is, and they actually have spreadsheets that do all the calculations to figure out exactly how long each side and the height of everything that you see there is. And all we need is a master carpenter, and he will do the job. It takes probably under a week to make. Well, it does take under a week to make. Okay. And now that we're rolling and we have one, then the rest is going to be simple.
Right.
It's just a matter of getting the supplies. To date, we've had a volunteer supplier of labor, and he's more than willing to continue, although we have some longer-term plans, and perhaps we might use the high school as part of that, because they have their community hours, and of course it would be under the supervision of the master carpenter shop teacher there. And we also had, because this is a community effort to build these, we had the home building center supply the wood for that. And they have supplied a bit more yet, but we have to just work out how much they're actually going to supply per year. I'm sure they're going to have a limit. You're not going to give me free wood all the time. So then the rest is a minor cost to each merchant, and we can work that out exactly depending on how much the wood donation is, where we could be looking at something like $40 a ramp, approximately, and that isn't too difficult, I don't think, for any merchant.
Not at all, yeah.
Because, and then of course they'll benefit greatly from having this. But they are each custom ramps. The disadvantage here in Brant County is that we're not flat. And because we're not flat, you can see that the ramps, his ramp specifically, is it's a little lower on the left side, a little more depth on the right side. And virtually everything downtown is going to be like that. So you just have to, and that's where the specs come in, but because it's all scientifically figured out for us, there's very little thought process involved other than just build according to the specs.
Okay,
And
thank
you
you.
probably covered that each step is different. This could be a half step, there's a step, some are even 2 steps. So
Right.
they're all custom
That's right.
made to fit the steps. Thank you.
Like downtown, there could be a shop that's approximately a 4-inch step. His neighbor could be 6-inch step, and it just goes on. Everything's different here, so.
Councillor Bauma, please.
Right here. There we go. Thank you, Your Worship. No, I think this is absolutely fantastic. In St. George, obviously, we have, I can think of 2 or 3 right away that are minimum 3 steps. And I guess my question would be is, number one, how can people find out about it? Is there anything that we can hand out to businesses to look into something like this? Number one. Number two, if it is 3 steps, obviously you're going to need a whole lot more wood and steps and everything else. Can that be made effectively so that, this is quite simple, you can put this right inside the door, but if you're going up, 2 feet or more, that's obviously going to be a lot more. And then I guess, not a question for you, but something I think we should think about as council is when someone wants to improve accessibility to their business and they have to encroach upon county property. For example, my building the front half brick is owned by the county of Brant. Can we ease that process when someone does have to do that? What are your thoughts on that, if I could?
That's all part of the process here. The last step that we're just finalizing now is to be able to use, for him to use this, he's going to have to sign a liability waiver because this thing is going to sit on the sidewalk of Brant County, and we have to be sure that if some untoward accident occurs, we are insured as part of his liability insurance that he already has. Yes. So we're just added to his insurance. Not only is it Brant County, but the stopgap.ca people insist on that too, and they should, because it's their specs, and the legal process is an awful one, so everybody has to be covered. Once that is signed, sealed, and in place, then he gets to use that ramp. And I know he's dying to use it as of yesterday. So, but we will get that in place.
Thank you, Lyle, and we acknowledge your outstanding service in this regard. It's exemplary. Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Just one thing I want to add. Thank you, Lyle and Sheena, for coming tonight. I think what Councillor Boone was asking is how the process works, and what it is Sheena, we don't have a process just yet, but you're working on it, am I correct? That's correct. Yeah, so what they're going to do is they're going to call in, and eventually we'll get a builder, we'll let them know what the costs are and the exact process, because as Lyle pointed out, there's a waiver that has to be done, so we have to smooth out that process a little bit. And if you get a chance, go online and look up how Stopgap started, because it's quite an interesting story. The person
they got
started.
A good video.
Yeah, and just so you know, well, I think there's a few councillors that were in AMO there at Ottawa, and they did talk about that. And there's a lot of these used throughout municipalities throughout Canada, so they're getting more and more common. But again, thanks to Lyle for pushing it. So,
Councillor Powell.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Lyle. Lyle, is the idea that this ramp is put out just during business hours, and the store owner brings it in overnight, so to speak?
That's correct. As you can see on the sides, there are these rope handles.
Yeah.
So the plan is we'll put up a sign, and I understand that we're going to come up with a custom sign for Brant County. The sign that stopgap.ca have is one that looks like this, and this standard one is basically to tell people from the street that there's an access ramp available in that store, and they had put your phone number, his phone number in, so you could phone him. But we're going to do a little bit better here at Brant County, and I understand you have your own logo, a Brant County logo, and we're going to have a bell. And so for this guy, for him anyway, there's going to be a little bell at the bottom, so that when I roll up and I want to buy a piece of cheese, I will push the bell. He will then come out with the ramp, put the ramp in, and I know he'll make darn sure that I buy a whole lot of cheese for all the effort he went through. So, that's the plan.
a piece the size of a ramp.
Yeah, that's right. He wants them big.
To add to what Lyle said, we're gonna brand it, ramp up and Brant, so they're not just stopgap ramps. So our sign will be in the window with the ramp up and ramp logo, we gave the gentleman at
Thank
Swiss
you.
Paris the option, do you want your phone number or do you want the doorbell? Because when he's working in the store, he won't be able to answer the phone, so he went with the doorbell option. So it's not wired, it's just a battery doorbell, so we'll have the finger by his cash, so that's the way he needs it, yeah.
And then at the end of the day, he will pick that ramp up and bring it back in, or well, maybe he'll either pick it up every time it's used and bring it back into his shop and, tuck it away somewhere, or leave it out there for more of the day, but pick it up every day, so it's off the street by the end of the day.
Councillor Gatward?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask how heavy they were, but when I saw Sheena pick it up, it didn't appear to weigh like more, 20 pounds? 20 or 30 pounds, so
It's less than that.
any store clerk could manage it, and it's made out of plywood and 2x4s, or?
It's, that one was a combination of
He's
2x4s on the side. I think he used a 2x6 for the back part, and the top is fir. It's 3/4 inch fir, and that's the heaviest part.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Great. All right.
And we'll
Thank
call
you so much.
Councillor Chambers to his chair. And I started out talking about the Bell Homestead National Historic Site and not wanting to misname what it was. It's the Bell Monument is the proper word. Councillor Coleman knew that. And park. There's a park there with it, and it was absolutely beautiful. And it was there were descendants of Bell there today who told us various stories, and the sculptor's descendants were there, and it was really quite interesting. You'll read about it tomorrow. With that, that completes the delegations, and can we have a motion to receive the information, please? Moved by Councillor Wheat and Balma. All in favor? Thank you. Adoption of minutes from previous meetings, September 26, October 16. We need a motion to move on. Thank you.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Chambers, that the Brant County minutes of September 26 and October 16, 2017 be approved.
Any question? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Business arising from the minutes. A question speed limit signs at entrance to communities. I suppose that raises the question, of course, what is a community? Because that's not in documents. Who is presenting this? Is anyone presenting this, or what? How are you?
Well, there was a question raised at a previous meeting.
Yes.
This is the answer. I believe if anyone has any questions.
So
Michael
this
Bradley
is
might
simply
speak.
for information.
Unless there's any further questions.
Councillor Chambers, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe I was the one that asked the question. It's my understanding that the suggestion to put these signs around the village of Burford was in response to traffic calming measures requested on Elizabeth Street. I pointed out at the last meeting that the traffic calming measures on Elizabeth Street were requested because people were using it for a shortcut.
Oh.
And I suggested at the time that these signs would be ineffective and not appropriate to put up to solve that problem. The fact of the matter is, these signs will not effectively control the speed limits on Elizabeth Street, and they're expensive to put up. I say that in response to something else that happened in the village of Harley that people may have seen in the newspaper. a resident took it upon himself to put a sign up at the gateway to Harley, which didn't cost anything and turned out to be very effective. Basically, they hammered a slow down plaque on the Harley sign. And it apparently was quite effective. Unfortunately, the county took it down.
It's illegal.
So my question is, does it make sense to put up signs that are expensive and ineffective and take down signs that are effective and inexpensive? There has to be, does anybody agree that putting up expensive signs that aren't going to do any good is good, and taking down signs that are inexpensive and do good, it doesn't make sense. So, Mr. Mayor, I would request that the Public Works staff and the road committee look at perhaps unconventional methods to control speeding in hamlets and villages, etc. There are countless number of things that are done across the province that are perhaps more effective than the entryway signs that we're contemplating putting up. So if the road chairman could probably, or perhaps put that on an agenda, look at ways to reduce speed limits or speeding in hamlets. If someone can hammer a slow down sign on the entrance to Harley that works, perhaps the county can devise signs that say slow down in various other examples. It catches your eye, it works, it does a lot more than the signs that are contemplated here. And there are other effective measures as well, and I don't want to rag the puck here, but I noticed going out on West Acres Road, there is a deer warning sign with a flashing light on it that's very effective. Everybody sees that and everybody comments on it. Maybe a speed limit sign, slow down, flashing, going into Cathcart or Harley would effectively control the speeding that are upsetting the people. I've said my piece. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. I agree with your views on the matter. However, we are confined to erecting and maintaining legal signs that are in a manual. I remember when people were using SMV signs for purposes other than on slow-moving vehicles, and actually they were very effective, but they were being fined for using them. I didn't get into that mode, but I do know that. So your suggestion is, and members of council, how would you like to handle this? Requesting the committee, Public Works Committee, should we say, you want to go to public, to examine. Do you wish to repeat?
Just to examine unconventional approaches to controlling speeding in problem areas across the county.
Thank you very much. Councillor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may add, if I may say, a few years ago, this came to Works Committee, and it was stated that they were going to put 50-kilometer speed limit within the community that was going to be placed at all entrances of the community, so they wouldn't have to place 50-kilometer signs on every street. It was to eliminate a lot of the street signs. And as far as I know, in Paris, it's working quite well. We have all our entrances coming into the community. And I raised the question at the last meeting about, are we doing that in all communities? And the answer I got at that point in time was no, not at the present time. So I didn't know where we were going with this, whether it was just certain communities that had it and was going to have it, or whether it was going to be the whole communities. So that's what I was told anyway when I sat on Works Committee that these signs would be to replace a lot of 50-kilometer speed limit signs within the community.
Thank you, Councillor Cardy.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I agree with Councillor Chambers, because I believe next year we have our budget coming up for next year. We could also look at additional policing in those areas to help us in those areas in speeding infractions and things that are happening with that. I know that with the growth of the community, we're going to end up having to have more policing services in the community. I mean, that's without a question, that's going to happen sooner or later. And if we have to put a couple of more vehicles on the road, I'm sure there's a lot over there we can use and utilize at times that we need them with more staff. So that would be one recommendation we could look at, I would assume. Thank you.
Councillor Balmer.
If I could, through you, Your Worship, just to remind Council that we should be talking about built-up areas, because as we know, our community is the County of Brant. And so if we're talking about just placing signs on the outskirts of our community, that would mean just as people are crossing into the County of Brant. And I think we're all referring to the built-up areas in our community in the County of Brant. And so if we could just be mindful of that in that discussion so that we are talking about things accurately. Thank you.
Councillor Gatward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We all will recall a while back, we purchased some mobile speed signs that can be moved around, and they are LED solar-powered signs. I think we have 2 of them, and there's no reason why they can't be used in other areas other than where they currently are. Or maybe we need to buy more of them, but they are quite effective. They tell the driver what speed you're going,
Yes.
and if they're going too fast, to slow down. And so
Well,
that is
that's
something that we can look at Public Works, is either acquiring more or moving them around the county, because it is a problem. Everyone's in a hurry these days, and as you know, the OPP can't be everywhere, so it's something very worth looking at.
Coming back to the suggestion in response to the item, are you agreed that it be just a verbal communique to the committee, or do you want it as a motion? Pardon? Verbal? Acceptable? Absolutely. You've heard it. Is everyone agreeable to what has been said? Thank you for your suggestion, and we will turn the page already. Thank you. Consent items to be approved. 1, with a recommendation.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Powell, that the consent item to be approved, the recommendation 3 of the Planning Advisory Committee report on October 3rd, 2017 be withdrawn, as this application has been appealed to the OMB.
Questions of the presenter? Anyone? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Consent items to be received, 1 to 13. Consent items to be received, communications folder, 1 to 12. Does any member of council wish an item removed from the list for discussion, debate, view? Anyone? Councillor Gatward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out to council that the new action plan for our OPP detachment for 2017 to 2019 is on page 49, and that our billing statement is on page 83 of our package. It was a very lengthy item in our package, and I hope that you'll take time to review the action plan of what our detachment is working on as priorities in our county. And also number 7, that Mr. Bailey has been reappointed for 3 years to the board as a provincial appointee. Thank you.
Councillor Cardy.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm glad Councillor Gatward brought up item 7. Is there standing bylaw or law that says they sit on for varying lengths of time, and I ask that because it appears, and I asked this the last time 3 years ago when this was brought up. We do have a lot of other certified, classified people that are able to do this position, and I find it unique that Mr. Bailey is continually doing the service and probably doing a great job, but I believe we have other people in the community that can do just as good a job. And I'm wondering why there's no provincial mandate to maybe let other people try it as well. Just a thought and a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No other member of council have an item? If not, you've heard the resolution to receive for information. All in favor?
Technically, Mr. Mayor, I haven't read it yet because it went to Councillor Gatward and then to Councillor Cardy.
Would you take the opportunity?
Be my pleasure. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Powell that consent items to be received, 7B and C, items 1 through 25, be received.
Thank you. Any question or comment by members of council? Anyone? No? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We're at committee reports. The Bucket Center Advisory Committee.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Loomis, that the Bucket Center Advisory Committee minutes of September 29, 2017 be received with information.
Questions of the presenter? None? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Community Services Committee. Councillor Bauman.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Wheat that the Community Services Committee report of October 2nd, 2017 be approved, noting there are 4 items.
Questions of the chair? None? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next is Planning Advisory Committee report. Councillor Powell.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Pierce, that recommendations 1 to 3 and 5 of the Planning Advisory Committee report of October 3, 2017 be approved, and that recommendation 4 of the Planning Advisory Committee report of October 3rd, 2017, be received as information, noting that the matter is being referred to the OMB and the decision-making authority is transferred from council to the Ontario Municipal Board.
So 1, 2, 3, and 5 are received. And number 4 is
For information,
received for information as well.
over to the OMB now.
Pardon?
The situation is turned over to the OMB, not to us.
Does that make any difference in the discussion? Councillor Chambers, please.
Mr. Mayor, I have no idea what turned over to the OMB
I don't
actually
either.
means. Like,
No, we need to-
I'm at a loss as to what, did they just march in and take over, or have they appealed something? If we haven't even made a decision at the council, I don't understand what's going on there. If someone can explain a little bit more in detail? Because turning it over to the OMB just doesn't,
See, what does the motion itself say? Pardon? Councillor?
The motion from the meeting is that those 2 applications be refused. My suggestion would be you vote in favor that they're refused.
Yes, it says,
It has nothing to do with the planning or the planning advisory committee report. Nothing to do.
do you wish to deal with recommendation 4 separately, to be clear? We'll accept the motion to receive items 1, 2, 3, approve items 1, 2, 3, and 5. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item 4, as Councillor Wheat says, be refused. Councillor Bauman.
Before we have that discussion, Your Worship, if I could just take us back to item 7A1, which I think was mislabeled, because it was supposed to be recommendation number 4, not recommendation number 3. Otherwise, the McCombs won't like us anymore. But we've already removed recommendation number 4 from the Planning Advisory Committee report in our actions earlier this evening, so I think that discussion is now moot. And I looked to the clerk just to confirm that.
What are you saying?
The application under number 4 has been appealed to the Ontario Municipal Board already.
Yes, we've been notified of that.
Yes, we've been notified of that. They've appealed it, so we've conferred with our lawyer. Council does not make a decision on the application now that it's been appealed to the Ontario Municipal Board. It's been appealed on the basis of no decision within 120 days. So now it's already at the OMB's table. So council will have information come forward later about the OMB appeal and take our position then. But at this point, we don't need to do anything with the recommendation from the Planning Advisory Committee.
But was it not being refused as a decision? Was that not made within the 120 days?
No, it's a 2015 application, actually, so I think
I see.
they just appealed it, I think, because planning had
Okay.
turned it.
Question by Councillor Getward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Did the appeal come in after we refused this at Planning Committee?
Yes.
So then the appeal was based on our refusal. So I would say that we should pass number 4 as a refusal because that's why they appealed it.
You don't know that.
I mean, it says that they appealed it on the basis of 120 days.
Yes.
But it wasn't done until after we actually did this Tuesday night.
Point of order, Your Worship. We've already dealt with this matter in item 7A1. If we need to go back to that, then someone should be asking for a notice of motion of reconsideration so that we can go back there. I think the clerk unfortunately put that as number 3 instead of number 4, but I think that can just be a paperwork correction. But we can't talk about this issue anymore because we've already removed it from the Planning Advisory Committee recommendations. It's done. So we need to go back either to 7A1, or otherwise we're not talking about this issue anymore. It's already been removed. I stand to be corrected on that. But I think in 7A1 we have already dealt with this. It's no longer on the table. It's not in the report anymore. We removed it.
Why are you saying it's not in the report when it is in the report?
Because we removed it in item 7A1, Your Worship, from the report. We voted, seconded, voted, done. It's been removed from the report.
Do you wish your final?
Well, thank you.
CAO will speak.
Okay. I'm just wondering if it'd be useful to have the general manager, the director of planning, just respond to their understanding of why it was being appealed, just to put things in context. But while we're waiting for that, I just reemphasize, there was a letter from a lawyer came in, and it was under item 7A, saying that they were appealing it to the Ontario Municipal Board, and this council passed a resolution removing this agenda item from the Planning Advisory Committee meeting minutes.
Who was removing it from this?
You did, the council did.
The council did. So that's in order.
Yeah.
We do it that
Yeah.
way. Councillor Chambers, comment?
Well, Councilor Bauman is quite correct. We have removed it, but the resolution that is in front of us right now
Yes.
is a little, and this is why I asked for clarification, it's a little bit confusing because
Right.
if the chairman would read that again, he is saying that, using very confusing language, and that's why I wanted the clarification. If they have appealed the application based on time, that's their prerogative, and to say anything else, it's
Sure.
it doesn't follow.
It doesn't say why.
Okay, one of our senior planners please respond to that?
Well, which are you calling?
Well, whoever knows the answer.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Eddy. If I might hopefully be able to assist council in this regard. Also, please note that our solicitor here is here in the audience tonight, so she can add additional comments to this if council needs clarification.
Where is this listed on the agenda?
I'm sorry. The decision, or rather the appeal that has been brought forward, has been brought in advance of council making a decision in this matter. The Planning Act is very specific in that it refers to a council decision, not a decision of the Planning Advisory Committee, but of the council. So at this point in time, council has not made a decision in this matter. The appeal has now been lodged, and it's now before the Ontario Municipal Board. So this council can, the wording of tonight's recommendation is not the norm, as in you adopt the recommendation of the Planning Advisory Committee. I believe it says to receive or something like that. It's not the norm because that appeal has already been lodged and it's now been removed out of council's hands in terms of the making of the decision. So I don't know if that helps council or not. Our solicitor can add to that if you need further clarification.
Councillor Cardy, I don't know why we dealt with that letter.
Thank you, Mr. Trotter, for that clarification. Would our solicitor agree with those comments? May I ask your worship through you? If our solicitor agrees with the comments made by the...
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I just want to make sure we're clarified on all
Very
this.
much in order.
I do.
Thank you. What was the answer?
She agrees. She agrees with the explanation that Mr. Trotter gave.
Where does that leave us?
It leaves us that we've withdrawn that.
But the planning report was not before us. There's the problem. The planning report was not before this council when we passed that resolution. Therefore, it was out of order, in my opinion. Now that we've done that, how do we get it in order? We should not have done that. Councillor Chambers.
Could I ask the chairman to read the resolution that he read a while ago, to be clear?
And that recommendation 4 of the Planning Advisory Committee report of October 3, 2017, be received as information, noting that the matter is being referred to the OMB and the decision-making authority has been transferred from council to the OMB.
And where is that listed? Where is that written?
So that's just received.
In the report?
It was, the chairman just added that.
You can't.
No, it's not.
You cannot do that. You can't do that. The report is the report.
There's the
You dealt
motion,
with
sir.
it. Thank you.
1, 3, and 5 are, and the number 4 is just to receive it. That's it.
Yeah.
Read the whole thing.
So why are we wanting to change that? In the recommendation number 4 of the Planning Advisory Committee report, October 3, be received as information, noting that the matter has been referred to the OMB and the decision-making authority has transferred from council to the OMB. And we do not need to say that. That's automatic. Solicitor, we have did we do a separate motion on recommendation number 4?
Yes.
The problem is, we've already dealt with item 4, which we should, correct?
We agreed to withdraw number 4. Now we're just going to receive it as information. So it's not going to be considered as part of the report, but it's now being just received as information because it,
Received this information, there's our back door. Maybe it's the front door, who knows?
I think that's on the
But-
table. That motion's on the.
No, well, we should not have dealt with a part of a planning report outside of the report. That's the item that's incorrect. But we have done that, so I'll live by council's decision because it was your decision and put forward, we've approved the planning report 1 to 3 and 5. Now, what's before us is requesting a motion regarding recommendation number 4 as read by the chairman. So do we have you moved that? Did we have a seconder?
Moved and seconded on there, yeah. Yeah,
Pardon?
Councillor Pierce, I seconded it.
You seconded it? Discussion. All in favor? Oppose? Carried. Unanimity in our time. So we'll rush on to John Nova Home Committee of Management. We cannot?
Councillor, thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Buma, that the John Noble Home Committee of Management report of October 4, 2017 be approved.
Questions of the chair, John Nova Home Committee, anyone?
Noting there's 5
No
items.
questions? All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Public Works Committee.
Mr. Mayor, move myself, second Councillor Miller, that the public works report October 10, 2017 be approved. For recommendation.
Questions of the chair? Anyone? No one? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Canesville Community Center Ad Hoc Committee.
Mr. Mayor, move myself, second Councillor Gallagher, that the Gainesville Community Center Ad Hoc Committee report minutes be received.
This has an in-camera matter attached. If there are questions to that, we'll have to deal with it in camera. Are there any questions on the first page of the report? None? All in favor? Are there any questions on the in-camera portion of the report? You're smiling, Councillor Bauma, which I think I know what that means. Councillor Gatward, you can't ask the question. Do you have a question?
My question is, why can't we deal with in-camera questions when we go in
Because-
camera?
Exactly, and I would, if you wish to ask a question in camera, on the in-camera report, I will add it to the in-camera list of items. All I'm asking is, will you have one when it comes in camera?
Possibly.
No. Thank you. Corporate Development Committee.
Thank you, Your Worship. It was moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Boma that the Corporate Development Committee report of October 16, 2017 be approved. There are 9 recommendations.
9, thank you. Questions of the chair? Anyone? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And, by the way, there was in camera regarding that as well. That completes the reports, doesn't it? And we'll rush on to staff reports and 9A, Roma Conference delegations from the clerk. Oh, please present it now. Thank you.
Move myself, second by Councillor Miller, that the Roma Conference delegations that we have to try to set up a meeting with the Minister of Transportation regarding the interchange for all 3 districts.
Question? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we're over the page to communications. And we have Resolution 11A. Is there someone who has, Councillor Bowman, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't think I'll read it all, but it's moved by
In
myself
that case, we'll take it as read. Are we agreed?
and seconded by Councillor Simons. The only thing, if you're amenable to a friendly amendment, is that we would also forward a copy of this to the leaders of the opposition parties. I think that's the only one that needs to be added to that.
You wish that added?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
And the seconder agrees.
Questions of the presenter? It is a very well thought out resolution and very appropriate, in my opinion. It's interesting, they tried a previous provincial government attempted at one time to erect a regional municipality composed of the city of Brantford, the county of Brant, the county of Norfolk, and the county of Haldimand. This is even larger because it includes the region of Niagara. And by the way, the region of Niagara does not have a board of health, it has a committee of health, I believe. The regional municipalities are somewhat different, as we know. Questions of the presenter, Councillor Gatward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was pleased to see this recommendation because when I reviewed that report from the expert panel, I noticed bigger is not always better, but that's what they seem to think. In fact, our area is supposed to include Norfolk, but they've been left off of the map, so to speak.
That's off the map. Oh, I don't.
It says Brant, Haldimand, Niagara, but there's no Norfolk. So I thought, there you go, people in Toronto making decisions for our area, and they don't even realize they offended Norfolk and they've disappeared. So I don't think bigger is always better, and I'm pleased we're moving forward with this.
Any other member wish to speak? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We're now down to B, request to declare fundraising benefit for Cody Spencer as municipally significant event for liquor license permit, and the explanation is there. Is there a presenter for this?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Chambers. So, yeah, as you say, that the fundraiser for Cody Spencer on November 4th, 2017 at the Burford Agriculture Hall be designated as a municipally significant event in the county of Brant.
Thank you. Any question? If not, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. C, request for proclamation of, quote, Random Acts of Kindness Day, end of quote, on November 3, 2017 by Brant Community Foundation.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Coleman. I'll present the motion as written regarding the Random Act of Kindness Days on November 3rd.
Did you read the resolution? Do you see what it says? We're declaring it in Brantford. I don't think we count as a council, Brant County Council, we don't have the right to do that.
Friendly amendment?
Pardon?
Perhaps a friendly amendment? Last paragraph.
Yeah, correction. I see it as a correction.
Last paragraph.
That's how it came in on the letter. I corrected it in
matter.
I corrected it in Councillor Miller's resolution.
My apologies, but it does say, and I'll read the last paragraph. Now therefore be resolved that the Council of the County of Brant, thank you Heather, proclaims November 3rd, 2017 as Random Act of Kindness Day in the County of Brant.
In the county of Brant?
Yes.
Thank you. I accept that. Any question by a member of council? None? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We are now to questions. Councillor Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could, and I know it kind of, we have voted on, it went by kind of quick, but if I could just ask a question in regards to 11B with us. 11B with the,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
the special event.
I permit
Or
that.
municipal significant. With us stating that is a municipally significant event, does that put us liable for anything on that liquor license? Sorry, I didn't ask that. It just kind of went quick there, but I didn't get a chance to ask.
Do you wish to comment on that? Do you have the information?
I can check on that. I mean, I just know it's, because I know the AGCO changed their whole processes, and I don't
Right.
know if they made changes to any of that. We've done it for a few events now, but I don't know for sure that if it has any impact. I would have to look into that. I don't know.
Okay, because I'm thinking that if we, and I don't have a problem with saying that,
I know.
you know, but it's, does
We'd
that?
like to know what effect,
Yep.
if any.
That's all.
Councillor Wheat?
If I might add a comment and help, my experiences in the past, it's a specific event that will come under our insurance policy. For
Yes,
the insurance
it's gotta be.
policy, the ag call,
It's got to be,
And I refer back to back in the day when the fire department in St. George would run a fundraising event, comes under the umbrella of the
Yes.
county grants insurance.
right.
I would assume that this would be the
Okay,
But we will still get the information.
okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, if I could, yeah, and just with what Councillor Wheat's saying there, to me, that's making me think that if it's under our umbrella of insurance, that we may in fact be liable, right? So I think, again, I don't have issues doing this type of thing, but we just need to make sure.
Well, usually there's a liability part to most actions of responsibility, but we will have it clarified by the clerk.
Thank you.
It's a necessity that the province has now seen, but what you want to know, what effect, if any, there might
Yep.
be.
Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Baumann.
I would submit that we're almost always liable, one way or the other, whether we can prove this or not. If it happens anywhere near a county facility. So I like this because it gives us the opportunity to say that we actually.
Oh, that's right.
Support this good activity.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about the activity, I'm just, like I say,
Yes.
if I was to have an event on my own, let's say a Buck and Doe, for example,
Yes.
and I were to get the liquor license for that,
Yeah.
then that would be my responsibility, but because it's being signed off by the county, I just want to, again,
Yes.
I'm not against what's happening here, I'm just curious.
It's important to know the answer to that question. We shall obtain it and get it out. Yes, thank you. In the meantime, where are we? Questions? Oops. Did we have another item under question?
He brought that up.
Oh, going back to the previous, yes, sir. No, that's correct, that's fine. It shows that I'm willing to listen, as you can see. Any other question by a member of council? No, it's important to clear the decks as we move along. Thank you. None? Resolutions. Are there any further resolutions that you have? Not at this time, correct? Other business. Councillor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize, I didn't bring this forward at the beginning on the agenda. I just wanted to say that Hazel McKellen was at Telford Place today, and she was very, very educational, informative, and very positive, objective, and her old self. And she was very impressed with Rivera. She's part of Rivera, and CEO for the board of Rivera, and very, very, very up to date with what's going on. So very good speech she made. So just wanted to bring that forward.
And she promises to come back.
She did promise she would like to live there someday.
Councillor Pierce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I could just, in other business here, I just want to just say around the table here, for those that have not gone down to see Lions Park, Pete Lavoie Fields there in Lions Park, they're coming along fantastic. It looks amazing. If you haven't gone down to check it out in the last week or so, I would suggest you go down. The fences are all up, all the backstop posts and everything are up, and the grass is coming in. It looks fabulous.
It's really moving along well.
It absolutely
And
is.
everyone who visits it is amazed at the amount of land that's there. They say the fields are bigger than they ever thought they could be. So land has been discovered, perhaps.
Yep.
Anyone else wish to comment? If not, we could move along. Other business, anyone else? We'll move, we have a list of in-camera items, and realizing that there were in-camera matters discussed by at least 2 of the committees, and maybe 3, that we could still ask questions on because they're on this meeting's agenda. Councillor Wheat, please.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Pierce, that the County Brant Council convene in camera to discuss a potential litigation matter affecting a municipality, registration of a subdivision, potential litigation matter, which is subject to advice from solicitor-client privilege, releasing of securities. Litigation matter, advice subject to solicitor counsel privilege, Gulf North Municipal Board hearing, and a personal matter about an identifiable individual, which is water and wastewater.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Short intermission? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that the following bylaws be read first time. Bylaw number 155-17 through to bylaw 164-17.
First reading of bylaws, all in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that the following bylaws be now read a second time and all clauses and preambles be adopted.
Second.
Bylaw number 155-17 through to bylaw number 164-17.
Second reading of bylaws, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Any member of council have an item in a bylaw they wish to request?
Just a comment. We spent an hour and a half talking about some stuff in camera.
Yes,
We
sir.
just quickly approved the borrow $12.5 million with no discussion whatsoever.
Correct, thank you. Yes, I was going to raise the point. I was going to raise the point. I hope all members of council read the details and the items that are being covered with that. Those 2 bylaws that are the debentures, because they are large amounts. They're large amounts, and they're going to increase our debt considerably. Realizing, of course, that we make continuous payments on our debt to keep it down. Any other item? If not,
Oh, Mr. Mayor, the firearms bylaw, number 5 on the list.
5.
At the beginning of the meeting, you stated the one delegation wasn't coming, and that was, were you referring to the delegation who wrote the letter about firearms bylaw
I
changes?
don't know that it was a letter. I was advised by the clerk when I got here that the agenda had been changed, and then I was subsequently advised that the person who had requested permission, and it had to be a vote to allow because they weren't on the agenda, had withdrawn. I think the word was that had realized the intent of the bylaw or something like that.
They were here.
Oh, they were here. Talk to you? Oh, Well, I don't know that. I don't know that.
explained to them that,
Oh,
I won't put words in their mouth.
yeah, I don't know about it. But don't need to, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to hear what
Oh,
the resolution was, because he had a valid point about not being
oh,
able to, oh, go ahead,
no,
Rob.
I never heard what the initial point was.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, he had misinterpreted the bylaw. In fact, there was no restrictions on his property and what he could do. So when I explained to
He thought
him,
there was a restriction on his personal property.
Yes.
That's correct.
Oh, I see. No, was it?
no.
And
Thank
that
you
was-
for coming.
And he knows that now.
That clarifies
Thank you
it.
very much,
Okay.
yes. I'm pleased to hear that.
Final reading of bylaws. Did we get
Moved by
to-
myself, seconded by Councillor Miller, that the following bylaws be now read a third time, passed, signed, and sealed. Bylaw number 155-17 through to bylaw number 164-17 to confirm the proceedings of council.
Third and final reading bylaws, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. No, I'm ready. Oh, sorry, someone? Oh, do you want that now? Accepted.